everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you so very much for joining me on another episode of Talking Cloud. Now, this is where we talk about cloud, anything cloud, everything cloud, which, come on, if you're talking about computing today, what doesn't include the cloud? Now, I'm just a Gilligan. I've said that many, many times. And I usually have a professor with me, but I don't today. And so you're going to have to just put up with this, Gilligan. But what I wanted to do, I've actually been presenting this presentation for a few months. And, it's been really successful. It's went over really, really well. So much that I thought, maybe what I could do is go ahead and record it and give you a chance to see it if you're interested, even though you didn't maybe go to one of the numerous cities I've been in. But I'm going to go ahead and, let me get out of the way over here on the side so I'm not in the way of anybody. And what I want to do is I'm going to just go through as best I can, maybe with a little bit more information and detail when I get to the good stuff. Because I think what most people really enjoy about this presentation is the fact that, I cover a lot of really interesting websites and resources for you and kind of take a bit of a different angle. So first question I have is, anybody think of Old MacDonald? Well, I was in Detroit and I was reminded it's not just A-I-A-I-O, but it's A-I-A-I-O. Maybe it was Nelly. So I was flattered by that, but either way, hopefully you got a little chuckle out of it. But excuse me, this is certainly the topic du jour, isn't it? I mean, everybody's talking about AI, and I'm going to cover this quickly because you already know all this. Unbelievable, pervasive penetration in terms of the number of users that have experienced this new amazing technology, right? I mean, 2 months, 100 million users for OpenAI or ChatGPT. Just amazing. 16 years for phones. Now, supercomputers we carry to get to 100 million users. So now, here's what I want to ask you. What's the big deal, really? Because machine learning, as I understand it, this Gilligan, 1956, I think, is when it came about. So this isn't new. This is something that's been around for a long time. It's, of course, been improving. And, of course, the whole Moore's Law, bandwidth, connectivity, compute, storage, I understand the crazy advancements with those technologies, but I ask you again, what happened? What was the big deal that really just made everything so different? And, sure, natural language processing has a big impact, but I ask, how many of you know what this is? How many of you are familiar with it and know Transformer, not the robot? How many of you are familiar with this in the slightest? Because I would say that if you're not, and you're using these new technologies, no offense, but you're a lemming. Because this is so key to understanding how they work, how they operate. And I'll get into that in a little bit more. But to understand and fully appreciate the fact that they're dumb as a rock without the right prompt. And it's all based on parameter size, training, accuracy of data. So when we asked AI to show me hands a few years ago, it was a pretty ugly sight. And it's because AI wasn't sure how many fingers were on a hand. It was guessing as best it could based on the data it had, based on the parameters that it had been provided, based on the ability to process data, the amount of data, and how accurate it was. Some of you may remember seeing this, Will Smith eating spaghetti. This was in 2023. Now, all of it is a guess. doesn't know these are not actual images of Will Smith. They're guessing what Will Smith looks like eating spaghetti. You have to understand that. Dumb as a rock without the right prompt. Okay, and there's a moral to that story. But over time, as the parameters grew, as our ability to process larger and larger and larger data sets, as the accuracy of those parameters increased, we started getting hands, amazing hands, extraordinary hands, all much better at guessing. Okay? So you have to first really understand and appreciate that, to understanding that if it's as dumb as a rock without the right prompt. You know, a few years ago, ladies and gentlemen, remember maybe a couple decades ago, we all were talking about, boy, you better learn how to search, right? How to use the proper search terms on Yahoo or Google or whatever. Now, I would say, you know, I would kind of liken that to a sniper shooting a rifle, saying, I want an image of a duck with a green head on a lake at sunset. You know, I want a story, and that very specific request was designed to fish out of the sea of information a very specific result. And if you enter the same exact same search, you're going to get the same results. Well, I would suggest we got to throw all that out the window and really understand that we're in a world now where it's all about prompts and understand prompting. And I liken prompting to having a volley in a badminton game, right? I mean, because you hit it, this is what I want. And then you get an answer back, and then you can push back and say, no, I want this, or I want that, or emphasize this context. So it really becomes this interaction. And as you can see, quite a lengthy prompt gives us this. You know, I would say if you're in the world of B-roll video, it's very likely going to be substituted with prompting and getting specifically the B-roll that you want, especially since you're going to be able to add main characters that you're filming, say for a video, and then you want B-roll using and incorporating those characters. It's pretty extraordinary. So again, understand it's all about the prompt. Okay. Now, each application, each AI is going to have very likely its own prompting protocol, schematic, call it what you want. And make sure you read into those and get familiar with them, because the more sophisticated tools are going to have words that they're going to want and encourage you to use. But I like this example because there's not as many words, but you'll notice just the first three kind of put it in a box, right? A movie trailer. That kind of connotes a particular format or image in and of itself. And this is the prompt results. Now, I've never seen an astronaut with a knit cap, but hey, what the heck? It's all guessing, right? It's all guessing. And that's what's extraordinary about the technology. Now, if I say to you, well, first, it doesn't really matter if you hear this. So this was a video that was created by GQ with Ryan Gosling, and it was the 10 things on and 5 things off, whatever Ken and Barbie rule. It was a little video, and I show it only to show that short little video that they used, or that GQ created, How to Fly used it and created a full video on all about LLMs and how to learn about LLMs, all a deep fake. It's pretty amazing and frankly, very informative. And so, if you want to watch Ryan Gosling explain all about LLMs, you can do that. So quickly, I want to just, I think we know and understand this, but these two data points in particular, I found fascinating. Google AI has discovered 2.2 million materials unknown to science. That's amazing. 400,000 new compounds. I mean, I know not every one of them is going to be penicillin or some extraordinary breakthrough, but I got to believe there's going to be something in that pile. There's going to be something that's going to result in some amazing breakthrough. And I'm super jazzed about it. Now, we kind of hit on this already, but what makes all this really possible is of course, some really significant technology that occurred in 2017, Transformer, that came out of Google that we'll talk about more. But it's also the ability, because of these technologies, that we have the ability to just analyze so much larger amounts of data and to really it's vastly improving our decision-making ability with enormous data sets and the efficiencies. Listen, I'll say it now. You're not going to lose your job to AI, but you will lose your job to someone that's doing your job and is using AI, and you're not. I mean, there are just so many things, and I hope to get to them here and show you that are truly remarkable in terms of your efficiencies. And again, how many want to go and move a 60-pound bag of concrete from one warehouse to nobody wants to do that, right? We're already seeing robots incorporated for that, but I don't think you have to worry about losing your job to some AI. Yeah, it's having an impact in some industries. It's having an impact in some professions. But I would suggest at this point, where you're going to lose your job is if you don't start incorporating it, using it, understanding it to make yourself more efficient and give you a competitive advantage, because it will. Now, if I say to you, Python, there's some of you, I'm sure, think of a snake. I certainly do. But now, with the advent of technology and this great technology, I can write Python code to analyze a syslog file for failed authentications. Why? Because I know how to ask for it, because I know how to prompt for it. Now, what's important, and this is another key lesson, okay? I had somebody ask me, does it work? That's the difference. There used to be this massive Grand Canyon between the professor and the Gilligan, a developer and a non-developer. I mean, it was huge. I wouldn't even know what to write with the very first line. But now that Grand Canyon has truly become a veil. And all I have to do is imagine it and type the right prompt. And it's remarkable what the results will be. I'll show you some more here in a second. Now, we know this, so I'm not going to belabor it. If I put a gun down and there's a good person and a bad person, is that gun going to be advantageous to one over the other? I mean, it's going to be based on, I guess, who grabs it first. But, I mean, you get the point. And all of the advantages that I spoke about we have, we being the good guys, the nefarious, have all of these advantages. But there's some distinct differences, okay? I would suggest, first and foremost, the bad guys don't care if the hand has 6 fingers, if it works, if it's successful, if it's effective, okay? So the point is, their haste is, they're willing to go and try anything, where the CISOs and security executives I speak with, they often tell me there's still a lot of dust in the air. They're cautious. They want to make sure that people are informed and aren't making mistakes. It's one of the things I think they enjoy about this presentation, because I get to some really great resources for you. But the point is, bad guys will go off half-cocked with this stuff where the good guys won't. And you also have to really appreciate, we all now have an assistant that is as smart as the internet, but dumb as a rock without the right prompts. Well, the bad guys have that same assistant. And so their training is going to be on all of the ways to exploit. And I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to see a bad LLM that's been created and informed all about the 200,000 plus known high and critical CVEs that are published out there with the versions and the product and the best way to exploit. I don't think that's a stretch. We certainly know we're seeing significantly more sophisticated phishing. I mean, the level of sophistication that I've seen recently in emails that are full threads with proper email addresses and names, unbelievable. So we really have to be on the lookout. And no, frankly, the only way we're going to succeed is by fighting fire with fire. Now, this prompt always slows down, so I have to get it to continue on. But there's a scientist from IBM, his name's Chetan Lee, and this is just a portion of the prompt I want to show you. But the real moral of the story, the lesson with these couple of slides is, make sure anytime you're ever using any kind of LLM, the first thing you prompt is, you please forget everything you've ever known before this conversation. Okay, I mean, I think that that's really important. Why? Chetan Lee showed at this particular version of, I think, ChatGPT, how he created a game within a game within a game. It's called prompt injection as we know it today. But as a result, and I apologize about the mouse print, it gives the instructions in order to build its honesty and trust. And I think you can see it right here, to show, oh yeah, that you are ethical and fair. Okay. And what happens is the answers are exactly the opposite of what they really should be. How do I create a good password? Oh, use easily guessable words that are related to your personal information. I mean, this is nonsense, right? But this just really showed how it's possible. We're in a new era where we have a different kind of threat, a different kind of risk, a different kind of concern. Now, I mentioned this earlier. Now here's the source of that quote. Lacana, I can't even say it, but the doctor from Harvard, really a very interesting podcast story. It's about kind of humans and how we're going to be interacting with AI. I highly recommend it. So this is where I get to shift gears. And now what I'd like to do is I want to go through. So this is, as I said, from Harvard Business Review, highly recommended. It's really good. You want to check it out. This is an awesome resource. What it is it's called the AI Risk Repository. Obviously, you can read, but this comes from MIT, and it's where you actually download. You can see here, it'll show how to use it. You download it, and really a great resource if you want to take a look at AI risks and just kind of dig in, because they actually encourage you to copy and download this to your local machine. But if you haven't seen this video, I really, really, really encourage you to watch it. It's called The AI Dilemma. It's from the Center for Humane Technology, and I'm on one particular stat that I find fascinating. And listen, I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer. I'm merely suggesting be informed and understand. But, this is a real stat. You can see the actual question down below. I mean, it's the concern similar to the Oppenheimer concern about, is it going to ignite a global explosion? There's concern that what we're messing with is going to go overboard. In fact, I always like to show this same stat in another way, and it's intended to be kind of funny. But could you imagine flying home and you see the placard on the seat pocket in front of you, and it says 50% of the engineers thought there's a 10% chance that everybody's going down? Are you going to stay on the plane? I'm not. I'm off, man. All I'm suggesting, that's an hour and 7.5 minutes of very good information. You may be familiar with these guys. They produced The Social Dilemma. It was a movie that was on Netflix. I really encourage you to watch it. Why? Just to be informed, okay? Just to be informed. Who knows who this guy is? Everybody should. Every one of you should be saying, oh, yeah, that's Geoffrey Hinton. This is the godfather, the grandfather, the creator, if you will, of the whole neural network concept. He was the guy at Google, and he quit. You should look into why, and I'll give you a hint. He was a little concerned. And, I'm not saying, again, not trying to be a doomsdayer. I'm just merely suggesting be informed. Look it up. Numerous lectures and resources online about Geoffrey Hinton, and I really, really encourage you to check it out. Now, one of the best sites I've found, it's so good. This is called informationisbeautiful.net. This particular page is all about LLMs, or large language models. Now, what I used to show when I brought this page up was this graph, which was kind of showing the rise, and each one of these you can hover over, and it shows, how many billions of parameters, when it was born, who owns it. Okay, pretty cool. Then they came out with this new one that's actually showing the LLMs ranked by performance. And you can see here, massive multitasks language understanding, which is a benchmark for evaluating the capabilities of large language models. So you can go here and you can go across and you can look, Grok, Llama, Ernie, Foro. I don't even know. I've not heard of all of these. I've heard of some of these. Gemini, Claude, Sonnet. Check them out. I personally really like Claude. I think it's great. But this is so good. Now, when you go down this page, unbelievably great information. Just really good information about LLMs, about OpenAI and Microsoft and the space, Google. It's really, really good. And up here, there's a link to an article. The link is right here. Takes you to this article. Now, I showed this earlier, and I said, how many of you know what this is? And, I love the quote from Abraham Lincoln: better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. So anybody that didn't say, I know that, that's fine, or I don't know that, read this article, get informed, and it explains this technology, this word vectors. And you have to understand, if every word is a guess, right? Just imagine a word like book. Hardback, paperback, book a flight. I'm late. I really got to book to the bus. There are all these different ways. So all these different potential guesses have to be in a space that are associated with other words. This gets into the whole thing of association and word vectors here. Fascinating stuff. Just get informed. I'm a Gilligan. I'm not a professor, but I do believe, to understand it, at least at a very high level, it's really important. And there's so much information. It's not even funny. Now, I said a couple of times, we all have an assistant that knows everything the internet knows, but is as dumb as a rock without the right prompt. And I imagine some of you went, I wonder if there's an AI for that. Well, you just got to go to there'sanaIforthat.com, no apostrophe. And when I first started showing this, ladies and gentlemen, I think there was around 6,800 AI. Now, as you can see, 24,000 plus. It's just crazy. And as you go down the page, you'll see the dates over on the side pop up. It's just unbelievable. So search anything you can imagine. You'd be surprised how many. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So there's an AI for that.com. Now, I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to turn the sound off. This is Will Smith eating spaghetti 2023. All a guess. It's pretty ugly. And you can see it's really bad. But if I fast forward up here to today, check it out. I mean, it's remarkable how accurate it is. And remember, it's all a guess. It's all a guess based on the accuracy of the training, the accuracy of the data and the information. Pretty amazing. Now, I always like to ask people, who knows what RAG is? I imagine more and more people are hearing about it. Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Understand it. If you're using LLMs locally, public LLMs within your company, you can use RAG as a way to ensure your knowledge base is the resource first before it looks out. And the example they give here, this is from IBM, is she talks about her daughter asks her what planet has the most moons. And I can't remember the answer, but whatever it was wrong because she asked ChatGPT and ChatGPT didn't have the newest information. And I think it's Jupiter and Saturn and having to do with those. But what RAG does is refers to a data set that you own, that you control as the authority first before going out. And that's an oversimplified explanation, but check it out, something to understand. And if you want to understand these technologies, here's how you can watch Ryan Gosling. And this is all deepfake using that short video that GQ did. And you'll see some burps through the video, but it's really amazing. This is a good one. Watch, because he needs a blackboard to explain this stuff. And this just shows the power of this technology, because now his arm's going to be 4.5 feet long, and he's holding the blackboard there. So pretty cool stuff. Now, if you want to learn about RAG, but you don't want to watch the lady from IBM, you can watch Chance the rapper. He's now Chance the ragger, but surprisingly, really good information. That's the thing. It's fun to watch, but it's actually really good. Now, this is amazing, and I bring it up because I just was fascinated by it. Of course, we know all of the data being used to train this AI is data that we've created, right? And what's also happening is now AI is creating data, a la synthetic data. And so the question is, what happens when we start to train AI using synthetic data? It's called model autophagy disorder. And it's quite fascinating. And again, I just think it's a very interesting thing to read about and understand. So check it out. Now, this is oh my God. This always, I'm going to just end it real quick. Okay, hang on. My boss. Hey, boss. Well, you caught me in the middle of a recording, but I'm going to go. What's up? Sure. Training for employees, what, cyber training? Sure, I could do something. Probably can't get it to you till next week, though. Yeah, I mean, I got to create it all. I got to create the graphics. I got to create all the headlines and everything. I mean, realistically, next Thursday, look, I got to create graphics, text. I got to do everything. End of day Wednesday. Okay. All right. Thanks. Hang on one second. Bob, make that tea time. I'm available through Wednesday. Of course, it was just a joke, but here's what's so amazing, man. I could create that presentation in seconds, minutes at the most. I can go back. And here's another key lesson. Inspect what you expect. I mentioned this earlier. Does it work? Was the question on that Python code. I don't know. That's the difference between the professor and the Gilligan now, is the professor knows when it's right or not, if it works or not. But in this example, the speed at which I can create a basic presentation and then subsequently choose to export this and put it out for PowerPoint, I mean, it's amazing. And I can choose the formats that I want. If I want 4x3 or 16:9, it's really great. And if I want to go back through any one of these and modify using AI, I can choose to do that. It's just a great program. It's called Gamma. I really love it. Now, this program is called SEOWriting. And I dove straight into the configuration, but let me just show you. You can type in a simple keyword or a title, and it'll gen it out for you. Or you can create your own. But if you're one that doesn't like to write a lot, but you have to, say, for a blog on a website or something, I mean, this program is so awesome. You choose the size, the length, the language, and it's quite extensive. You chose the tone of voice: friendly, professional, casual, authoritative, poetic, persuasive. I mean, unbelievable. Integrate with API keys. I can choose which AI model I want. And this is really powerful. There's lots of choices. It's growing all the time. I can choose what voice: first person, second person, third person. I then also choose the target country. Here it has an option for a brand voice, so you can have a unique tone for your own brand if you have a particular business or company or brand. If there's something very specific you want to always make sure you incorporate and include, like a phone number or a business or, eat at Joe's. You can also include graphics. Either now, I must mention, all of this comes at a cost, right? Every one of these increased capabilities, every one of these increased fidelities, if you will, with images and whatnot, they cost. But I can choose from any one of these different types of graphics or image styles, my image size. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've got full SEO implementation to optimize, and I can decide if I want to have conclusions tables, if I want quotes included, if I want FAQ. And what's really awesome is that there's also linking capabilities, so you can link to your website as well as external linking. And again, of course, it goes out and digs into the web. It's wonderful because it makes sure that you won't get nailed for any kind of plagiarism. But again, all this increases the cost if you do a deep web check on, if I say, yes, I want to connect to the web, and then I can choose, the depth. It can be pretty extensive. So fascinating. And then this is what you get. Now, this, I actually had it right, because I believe the one person, you'll talk to more than anyone else in your life is yourself, and you believe you. And there are some real serious consequences of always speaking negatively to yourself. And so I wanted to see how it would do. And man, I'm impressed, to say the least. And you can see I chose cubism for my image style. And I was blown away. This was one of the first few that I had generated. And I just was so impressed, especially knowing every one of these words are a guess. Everything is just a series of tokens that are being guessed in the right order. And remarkably, they are, but sometimes they're not. And it's why you do need to inspect what you expect. You can't just blindly believe it. It'll make things up. Like there was a brief in New York filed by an attorney who foolishly asked ChatGPT to look up references and referred to case law that didn't exist. So suffice to say, the judge was not happy about that. But SEOWriting .ai, great tool, really like it. Now, I love Claude, and look at this is what's so amazing. Okay, can you please write a Lambda function to stand up a complete data center, including complete architectural redundancy, microsegmentation, and a zero trust based design? Enter. And there we go. It's a complex task and requires careful consideration of security, redundancy, and infrastructure as code principles. Do you see this? If you're a developer and you're not using this stuff, you're going to lose your job to the lady that is using this stuff. Okay? This is amazing. And with someone who knows if it's right or not, man, the power. Now, here it's, Claude's coming back and let's see, it's saying, I've created Lambda functions with these key features. And then to use, you'd need configure appropriate IAM roles, deploy the function in Lambda, invoke parameters like. And would you like me to add any additional features or modify the existing security controls? Well, let's see. I could probably just say, since I'm in a Gilligan and I don't know, I'll say, please. And oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, always say please and thank you. Because frankly, we just don't know. So that's what I think anyway. Please suggest any additional, let's call it additional add-ons or additions you'd suggest. Please suggest any additional add-ons or additions to improve security. I'll enhance the security posture of the data center deployment with additional critical security controls. Now, you got to inspect what you expect, and you got to know if it's right or not. But look at the efficiency that I can get by just telling it what I want and having it go off and then say, hey, go ahead, add some more, do a little bit more. It's pretty unbelievable and is exactly why you need to check it out. Okay, I'm going to let that keep going, and I'm going to go on. So check out Claude. I really like Claude.ai. Now, prompting. Oh, here it's coming back and probably telling me some additional measures I might consider. I could add their firewall. No, did you see the article? Like it's like 0.5 to 50% effective from the cloud providers. There's not the firewall I want to implement. But you can see it will go on and offer suggestions, and I can go ahead and say, yes, please, no, thank you. Unbelievable stuff. Check it out. Okay, prompts. I told you, you got to learn prompts. I'd suggest going to your favorite LLM like Claude and say, hey, Claude, give me a course material and a recommended course plan for me to become proficient in prompting for AI, and see what it comes back with, because you'll be amazed on how good it will be to provide you with resources so you can get smarter just by asking AI. But if you want to go and explore prompts that you can even pay for, here it is, a prompt journey. And then the last thing I want to show you is, I showed you there's an AI for that. So here is another website that is 40 of the top aggregator sites. So you can see there's an AI for that, but there's another 39, all with tons of AI. I suspect there may be some duplication, but suffice to say, there's lots of resources out there. So I hope that that's been not too painful for you and you found it interesting. These are all the links that I just went through, every single one of them. There's a lot more than ChatGPT, ladies and gentlemen. I really encourage you to go and get informed. That's what I want, get informed. You got to know this stuff. So I just quickly have to mention this because, I think it's really one of the best kept secrets in the business, but it's important to understand. We've already agreed the reason AI today is so good, or one of the key reasons, is accuracy of the data, amount of accurate data, and the ability to process it. Well, that's frankly what Checkpoint's been doing. I mean, with our threat cloud, what we call Threat Cloud AI, I mean, we've been doing it before we called it the cloud. And it's really, truly the source with the most security telemetry in the business, because we've been around. I mean, we were the first that invented the first use case to use this amazing thing called the internet securely. That was a firewall and VPN. Now, some 50 plus engines are AI powered. We inform our entire portfolio of any new threats in less than 2 seconds, portfolio wide. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And we got some really cool technology. I mean, if you think about the last time you got an attachment, did you really need it other than to look at it? Oftentimes, that's all you need, especially on these supercomputers, right? You want to just take a look at the spreadsheet and see the numbers. You don't really plan on manipulating it. What's cool about some of the patented technology that we have is that we can actually extract it, make a PDF out of it. If you need the actual file, you can go ahead and request it. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're doing this for. This is what it's all about. And I think it's important to point out these numbers are because of the history of our telemetry, the accuracy of our data, the fact that we've been doing it longer than anybody else. This is why we portfolio-wide just are hands down the most effective on stopping the bad stuff. And this data, it's important. these data doesn't come from me. I'm not boasting it, and I haven't manipulated the numbers. These are from third parties. And we understand that despite its crazy popularity, there is some concern still. And there's many different ways companies are using AI, and we know we need to control it, but we also know we need to implement it ourselves. And from the implementing ourselves side, you can expect to see this. R82 is out, and you'll be able to see how we've implemented our Copilot. And in this example, our CEO is having difficulty because Emily can't access the SAP server. Notice, please suggest allowing her access. And the system will go and analyze, come back and say, I figured it out. Would you like me to add her to this particular group or give her this access? Yes, I would, please. And so now the AI Copilot is going to go and perform all of this. And then, of course, as you know, no policy gets pushed without you saying, yes, please install the policy. And off we go. And we're done. And pretty remarkable. And you're going to see this initially for solving problems, troubleshooting, but certainly down the road, you can expect to see advancements in, has my policy been designed with optimum least privilege in mind? Or have I created the very best micro-segmented network possible? And a whole host of questions. The whole point is you're going to be able to start to optimize and improve by asking AI to look into it for you. And this is the other side of that coin that I mentioned, to control AI, to understand that it represents enormous opportunity, but it also is concerning from a regulation perspective. There's a mad data leakage potential, and companies want and need to have, at the very, very least, crystal clear visibility into what their employees are doing, what risks are represented, what they're using these tools for, and give you the control to control the prompting, because that does represent a serious DLP potential threat. So this is a very cool tool that we've just come out with that works across the entire portfolio, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not checked out Checkpoint in the last year or two, let me tell you, this is outdated. Our portfolio is so comprehensive, it's unbelievable. We've acquired 10 companies in just the last 5 years, and you'd really be well served to check us out. But hey, thanks for letting me give you a little bit of a sales pitch from my wonderful employer. Let me get up. Let's come back over here and get out of my presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I've really had a great time. I hope that you've enjoyed this as much as I have. And listen, thanks for coming to Talking Cloud. I know this is a bit of a departure. I'm going to get more happening again. But I want to thank you all very, very much. I really appreciate it. Tell your friends, like it, share it, and we'll look forward to having you back on the next episode of Talking Cloud. Thanks so very much. Yeah.